everybody. I got my curated bead box for the month of December 2025. It's called Winter Vineyard. It's so beautiful. If you're not familiar with curated bead box, it is a value box. It comes every month with a findings pack. So you have all the different jewelry supplies from jump rings to lobster claw, stretch cord, memory wire, bead stringing wire, some head pins, some ear wires, like all the things. So if you're newer to jewelry, you get a nice sampler of supplies for trying all different types of projects. You can also use the codes on the box. There's no insert on this one, it's printed on the outside, but you can go on the website, which is here, and use these codes if you want to buy more of anything that was in the box. And for me, I am just dying over these pendants. I think these are amazing. There were 3 of them in the box. I'm also dying over these cube crystals. The facets here, these mitered corners, are just beautiful. There's also these crystals, which we've had in a past box, and they're really unusually drilled, like across the top. It's not quite a briolette, but it's pretty amazing. So as you can see, it's like a mix of whites and silvers and sparkle, but then the vineyard colors of the mauves and berries and greens of the vines in a winter vineyard, and this gorgeous strand of snowy white glass pearls were in here. I mean, these are white, and I just love, they have this luminescence. They just glisten. So I love those. I'm not gonna like spend a lot of time on an unboxing, but we did get these seed beads, which I'm going to be using in a project today. And we had this about 2 years ago. This is memory wire that is necklace size. I was confusing necklace memory wire with necklace size. But anyway, I have done a couple of videos on making chokers with this, and also making really gorgeous, stunning, chic necklaces that have long drops from the front. So I'll link 1 or 2 of those videos. They're older videos of mine, but it's really fun to do necklaces with the necklace memory wire, and especially if you like chokers. So let me just clean up a little bit, and we're gonna make a really cool necklace. I'm gonna add in a few things of my own. So I just have some crystals here because my necklace is going to be crystal and silver and pearl and white. And I'm going to add in a little touch of gold with some gold seed beads. I'm going to add in some silver seed beads and this really cool little 2 opening slider bar that's pave crystal. I can't exactly remember. I've had this for a really long time, but I'll see if I can find this or something like this. But any kind of a 2-hole separator, if you like this project, should be able to work. I just had that one. So let me clear some things out of the way, and it'll just be a second for you. Okay, I really wanted to lay a little bit of gold wire on this silver spike, and both sides have a little bit of an embellishment, not the same, and I'll show you what I did. I'm not even going to try to get this one the same. I actually want them to be artisan and different, you know, on purpose. And I have a little scrap here of my Softflex 22 gauge craft wire. It's really soft and it works great for this kind of thing. I'm also going to grab 2 of my Softflex Company number 2 crimp tubes. I really love these crimp tubes with my magical crimping plier. The ones that Beadalon makes are also excellent, but I really love these. And then I'm going to be stringing on my Softflex white quartz 49 strand bead stringing wire. And my intention is to do a necklace that doesn't have a clasp that pops over the head. So here's my white quartz. And what I'm going to do is kind of start this drop at the bottom. This is going to be, I don't know what to call it, a lariat pop over the head but not adjustable necklace. I don't really know what to call it, but I'm going to start by getting a few seed beads on here. So maybe gold, silver, gold, silver, gold, and then string my, oh, I forgot my crimp tube. Got to put the crimp tube on first. I'm going to start on one end. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, you guys, and I think I might be getting sick. And so, like, my brain is not really functioning. I was at the hospital all day yesterday with my son. We had to drive back and forth to Gainesville again, and we always come home from there not feeling well, and I hope I'm not getting sick, but I'm going to try to make a couple of videos today in case I am losing my voice. So forgive me for being inarticulate and kind of having brain fog because I'm under the weather for sure. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing on this side. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 golds. Gold, silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this end up through the crimp tube, and I don't need that big of a tail, a little one, because my pearls and crystal are going to come next, and so a little bit of a tail is good. And so I'm just made this little drop. I'm going to do one on the other end when we get to that, but this little drop is just going to lead up into the stringing, and it's going to be a mix of everything you see here, like really elegant gold, silver, white, and pearl and crystal. It's just going to be so beautiful, and I just love mixing the gold and silver. So I'm going to use my magical crimping plier. You can totally use a fold over crimp like your Xuron plier here, but I really love this one. And I don't even feel like I need to put a crimp cover, but I may, because the holes in my beads, I always decide that after, but the holes in my beads are kind of large, and so sometimes this is really small, and for design purposes I'll want it to look a little bit bigger. And the secret to this is not closing down until you feel that crimp tube is in the center of the divot in the tool, and I just felt it go in. So I'll keep like repositioning until I have it just right, and also when you're crimping around seed beads to make sure that you're not crushing your seed beads, because it's easy to do with this tool. So I just closed down, and the tube is now a square with 4 little pinched corners, and I'm going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. And again, don't close the tool until you feel it's right in the center, especially on this way, because you will mangle the crimp tube, and like I feel it's not in there. I can actually see it's protruding out. It's like riding a bicycle. When you feel what it feels like to be in the very middle of the tool, you'll get it right every time, because you won't close down until you have it. So it just, nope, it didn't go in. It just turned the other direction. There, it just went in. Now I can close in this direction and just hold in that spot as you turn around. It doesn't matter which direction, and you just open and close a few times and go around in a circle, and you can start to feel that it's not doing anything anymore. That means that your tube is formed into a little bead, and like these are 8/0 seed beads, but that is the size of an 11/0 seed bead, and it looks very much like an 11/0 seed bead. So for my stringing, I am going to start off, I think, with a pearl. Let's see what that looks like. And just string that down over the cut end. And I think that I want to do a pearl and a silver bead and then a crystal. No, I'm going to do this crystal next. I just changed my mind. Like I said, I am just under the weather, and so it would be easier to sit here and play with my beads and not explain what I'm doing. So just don't listen to me. Okay, I'm going to put a seed bead and then one of my cube crystals, because these are going to be my final drops. Let me see if I need a bigger bead beneath the crystal. Oh no, that looks great. Oh wow, look at that. I haven't even done anything and it's already gorgeous. And so then I'm going to repeat on top a gold seed bead and a pearl. And then from here on, for the whole length of my necklace, I'm going to mix all of these, the two different golds, the silver and the crystal. I don't want to lose my crimp tube, and get my stringing. So when I get up to right around here, that's where my double connector, my double thing is going to go. And I think I'm going to be okay without a clasp on this. But let me show you, because I'm going to string off camera, let me show you how I embellished the little silver spike. It's super easy, very artisan. You really can't get this wrong. The only trick I think that I had, I'm going to smooth this a little bit, is when I started to wrap the wire around, is I held a little bit of length of my wire down on the face of the spike like that, and just let it hang down here. And that's what I made this spiral. So that spiral is like actually coming out of the wraps. And then I'm just gonna come up here to the top and start wrapping. And I'm gonna wrap right over that wire that I'm holding down, you know, until I'm happy with it. And since these are dangles at the bottom of a necklace, they're gonna, you know, spin around. And so I really liked having a little embellishment on both sides. And like I said, I don't want to try to get it to be the same. So I'm gonna pull that out now, and then I'm gonna just do some open wraps. And then what I did on the other one is brought this around, and I'm just gonna put it underneath, because you for sure don't want anything that's gonna snag or grab on clothing, or that you're gonna constantly be catching on things. So I'm just gonna push that wire under there and give it a nice tight pull. And I'll bring it around, and I'm gonna just turn that into a little spiral. And I'm gonna spiral it like right up on top of where the wire crosses over, and flatten it to the spike, and get my nylon jaw pliers. I might need to get my bigger ones, but just like really flatten it to the bead, and then you can, you know, adjust your embellishment. Okay, so there's that side. And so I'm gonna bring this around to this side, so that I have, you know, no matter which way this dangles, there's some gold wire laying on both sides. So in fact, I think I can even lose a little bit of this. That's going to be a pretty big spiral. So same thing, I'm just going to spiral and flatten it to this spike. Then if you need to tidy anything up at the end, tighten up your coils. And like I said, I didn't even try to make it the same as this one. They're similar, but it has that handmade quality. And so now I'm just going to create a pattern here. And what I really need to decide is if I actually want to do a pattern or just random. And what I think I'm going to do is put a silver seed bead on either side of the crystals every time I string a crystal. But I really want the most of the body of this to be these 8/0 seed beads. I just think, I don't know, I like that scale, I guess. I like that scale of so it's not a chunky necklace. So I did end up creating a pattern when I started to play. I'm just alternating my gold lined and my opaque gold seed beads, and then doing a little white every 10th bead, white and silver bead station. And I'm at the point where I fed on a pearl, and then my connector, and then another pearl. So far it's looking like that, and I'm going to continue stringing, and when I come back around, obviously I'm going to repeat this. A pearl, go through the connector, another pearl, and then recreate the second drop. And this should give me enough space to just pop this over my head, and wow, 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 look how gorgeous the gold, silver, crystal, pearl, and white is. It's so festive, but so elegant. And this could like easily be denim and diamonds. You could pop this over a long sleeve white shirt with dark jeans and instantly be polished and dressed up. Like, I'm so excited to start stringing. So the only thing I have is one crystal here. I will change up my pattern, and I want to incorporate a few more of my little faceted crystals that I brought in from my stash. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me string. I am going to do most of this off camera, and I'll pop back in and just show you what the pattern is looking like when I get back down. And when I get back down to here, I'll show you how I'm going to go back down through that connector. But it's going to continue like that. Okay, so I've got my length all done, and my pattern has come back around full circle, and now I'm going to put my pearl on that's going to be right on top of my finding. So I just want to add that pearl and run my bead stringing wire through the 2-hole spacer bead, and then it gets another pearl underneath, and then I'm just going to continue stringing this pattern the same way that I did here, and I'll get that strung, and then I'll come back and show you, because this is like one big loop. So really we're just going to do everything in reverse with the crimp and all. So let me continue stringing, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've cleaned up a little bit, and there's a runaway seed bead. And so my pattern coming underneath my finding is exactly the same, and I'm ready to add on my gorgeous crystal cube bead, and then it gets a gold seed bead. I did them the same on this one. I didn't vary the length, which I do sometimes, and you could do on this, but I decided to do these the same. And so here we just go in reverse. I'm going to feed on my crimp tube, and then I'm going to do my 7 seed beads, gold, silver, gold, for the count of 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then feed on my little drop, and then another 7 gold, silver, gold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And like I say, it's in reverse. So now I have to go back up through my crimp tube, and a couple of beads for sure. I think I can get up through my cube bead. It has a nice large hole. Some of these 8/0 seed beads don't always want 2 wires, but that one was easy. And just feed it up there. And I won't lie, on this type of a necklace, it can be tricky to crimp this end because this is just one big loop. Let me put these away. So what I'm going to do to make sure that I don't have any unwanted space, let me see if I can even come up a couple more beads since I have the wire here. But I'm going to pull out of the camera for a second. Oh, that does not want to happen. Okay, I'm going to pull out the camera just for 1 second with my necklace like upside down and give everything a tug just to make sure that my finding here, my middle finding, is pushed up really nice and tight. So like I say, take a second for this because you don't want this to be rigid, but it's one big loop. It's one big continuous loop. So on the side that's not crimped, give that loop a little tug, give this a tug and check to see. And I don't want it rigid, so I'm not going to crimp in a tight straight line, but you know, I do want it not to have any strange gaps. And there is a trick for that, and I'll show you the trick for that if it happens, because like I said, I won't lie, it can be a challenge to get your tension right when you have one super long continuous loop and, you know, this situation here. And it is tricky on this side too, because I want to do my magical crimping plier, but I have a lot of seed beads that I have to fit in there. And you just have to be really careful that you're not crushing a seed bead because it ruins your pattern. So I'm going to wiggle my tool in there, and I'm going to give this a nice tight pull and close down. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction and do the same thing we did on the other side. And like I say, this side you have to fit in there. And here's where sometimes, even though you don't really need a crimp cover on a magical crimp #2 crimp tube, sometimes I will do it just for looks, and sometimes I do it if I end up with unwanted space, and you know, because this tool will push things out of the way. So let me see how we did. Let me snip this little excess wire, and let's see. Okay, I actually got mine pretty good. Like my piece is really fluid, but when I hold it up, there's no excess space, so I actually did pretty well. But I think I'm still gonna put a crimp cover. It just looks nice, and I have these really teeny tiny ones. So just fit the crimp cover over the crimp, and without being too aggressive, just really gently go from side to side, top to bottom, just like closing it up with really gentle, soft movements. It's very malleable metal, and you just want to like form it into a round bead and kind of close up that seam. So I do it a little at a time and just zhuzh it, really being patient. Look at that. It's so pretty. But what I was saying is, if you ever do a piece like this where it's one big loop, and you know, in the crimping, because with the length it's just very easy to do, if you ever have some gaps, a crimp cover does eat up a little bit of your length, and you can put your crimp cover not only over your bead, your crimped bead, your crimp tube, but you can also just put one, close it over your bead stringing wire above, you know, where you have unwanted space, and it becomes a bead and fills in some of that space. Does that make sense? But I'm gonna just fit this one over, and this one's just for looks. I'm gonna fit it over my crimped bead there and just really gently get my pliers in here and close it. Small increments. It's perfect. If you're too aggressive with a crimp cover, you can just mangle it. But if you're gentle, you can get it in there and it's just perfect. It looks like a little bead. This necklace is so beautiful and so festive and sparkly, and the elegance of the white, gold, silver, pearl, crystal, like the elegance of that is just, you know, classic elegance. And you know, it's artisan at the same time. It does not look machine made, and you could just be polished and dressed up with this necklace almost with anything that you have on. So I will take my Permalac clear coating and I will brush that over my finding here and my crystals, and my crimped covers and pretty much anything. I think that's all the metal that's going to be on it, but that will keep it sparkly and it won't tarnish over time. And it's just so simple to put this one on and off because you just pop it over your head. It's a no clasp necklace. So a little twist on maybe a Y necklace. It kind of takes the Y necklace shape. But I thank you so much for watching. I don't think I mentioned, but I do have a discount code for Curated Bead Box, and I will put that in the description box. That gives you 35% off your first box if this is a box you're interested in. And I have to say, lately they've been doing an amazing job with really cool findings like these silver spikes that were in this one. Just really, the team over there does a great job at pulling together some really special things in this box. And it's so great if you are newer to beading because you get such a great sampler of everything. So tap the more under the description box to get, it says more right, not under the description box. Like I said, I am just not feeling good, but if you tap more under the video title, it will open the description box. And depending on the device you're on, usually you have to tap more a second time to reveal all the information. I put my favorite tools there and my current favorite findings, and anything that I've pulled in for a project is always listed there. And it'd be so lovely if you subscribe to my channel and tap the bell notification so you don't miss upcoming videos. Thanks a lot, everybody. Hope you're well and warm this winter, and I'll see you in the next video.